Hey guys, how's it going? Cool Sports Guy back once again for the Thursday night episode. If you can't tell, I'm the one in charge, so things might be a little clunky this time. Hopefully, we'll make it through all right.
It's an anniversary gift. I just want to say congratulations, Jared, on this day 1 year ago. He joined Cool Sports Guy, and it's been a pleasure having you, my friend.
Yeah, we've. I mean, I don't want to brag, but I think the viewership has gone up quite a lot in the past year. Not taking all the credit, but I'll take some of the credit on that. They had to get
It
the
is
the young pretty
well
face.
deserved. Yeah, you got the
Um,
young viewers in here, all the 10-year-olds.
I mean that's very fair. So yeah, without further ado, I guess we will just get into this if I can remember how to do everything correctly. Um, yeah, there we go. I don't know if we need the socials on the whole time, but to clear up space, we'll keep them off for now. Uh, yeah, I did the one last week, so I'm still kind of rusty on how all the background stuff works. But so starting off with the last week checkup, which was last Thursday night football, Browns, Steelers. Um, so I think me and Tom both picked the Steelers in this one. Very disappointing. Mitch Trubisky did not have a very good game. He has proven to me in these 3 weeks that he does not have the ability to read defenses or make it past his first read. Not a good quarterback. He got outperformed by Brissett. I mean, George Pickens had that one really, really good catch, but other than that, he didn't have a very good game either. Uh, yeah, I don't really have much to say about this game. It wasn't great until like the second half. It was super slow paced, not a lot of offense. It wasn't even really good defense. It was just worst offense. But yeah, I know the Browns sadly did win that game, which led to me having a bad week and Tom having an even worse week.
Probably the worst week I've had since we started doing these picks. Not just Thursday picks, just picks in general. Last week sucked. I mean, who would have thunk that the Bills and Chiefs will both lose in the same week? I mean, that's just bad luck. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean the Dolphins are a good team, so it made sense the Bills would lose that. But the Colts, who were was it 1-1 or whatever, who looked bad, got blown out, shut out by the Jaguars, went and beat the Chiefs. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it happens. We're just not great at picks this year, I guess. But so there are the standings for the AFC North right there. The Browns are actually leading the division due to divisional wins. They are sitting at 2-1. The Ravens also at 2-1, and then the Steelers at 1-2, and the defending AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals, are actually in last place again due to division wins. They do have the same record as the Steelers. I mean, is this what you thought it would be going into the year?
Not at all. I actually expected the Browns and Browns and Bengals to completely flip flop. Listen, I'm now very high on the Bengals. I wasn't very high on them last year, and you know that going into this year, I wasn't super high on them either. I take that back. Sorry, I expected the Ravens to lead. I expected the Bengals to be the second, and I expected the Steelers to be behind that, and I expected the Browns to be the last one. And somehow, for whatever reason, that didn't happen. So no, not at all what I expected.
Yeah, I think my if I had to pick the four, like the order for the four that I thought it was going to be, would be the exact same. Where I would probably go Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. I think the Steelers so far this season, I think, are pretty much close to what I thought they were going to be. Mitch isn't that great of a quarterback. They can still win games because they're not that bad of a team. The Browns, I think they've relied on their run game well. Jacoby Brissett has played very well. I say very well for Jacoby Brissett standards. Not too much shade. The Bengals, I feel like they've had other than the Cowboys loss, they lost to Cooper Rush. I don't know, they have had a pretty tough schedule, and they are going to continue to have a tough schedule. I think that's going to be a big negative for them, and that might knock them out of the playoffs. As for the Ravens, their one loss was to Miami, who's currently undefeated, so it's not that big of a deal. But I think the Ravens are a very, very good football team.
Listen, I think the Ravens are going to end up coming out of this division. Granted, if everybody stays healthy, they're gonna be the division winners here. The only thing I'll point out is the fact that the Browns leading 2-1 right now. If they continue to stack up wins, I'm not very high on Deshaun Watson, but I do think he's better than Jacoby Brissett. I'll give him that. He's a lot better than Jacoby Brissett. So if the Browns can, essentially find ways to win with Brissett, then by week 11 when Watson comes back, it might be we might actually see them kind of deep into the playoffs, but we'll see.
See, the way I look at it, I'm not very high on Watson. I might be a bit biased because I don't like him as a person, but I think right now with Brissett, they're a contender for a playoff spot. I think Watson, he is better than Brissett. Don't get me wrong. I may be slightly biased, but I'm not going to say Watson's a bad quarterback. I just don't put him in that like elite, great tier quarterback.
Oh, they're going to fail in the playoffs.
I
He's
don't think
not.
they'll make it
I
far
don't
in the
trust
playoffs
him in
regardless.
big
I think
spots.
with Watson, they probably will make the playoffs if they continue winning games with Brissett, but I don't think they'll make it far. I think that team's not really it's not like built to make it far, in my opinion. I think Watson not, getting to play until week 12 is probably a pretty negative on chemistry with the team. And then, they can't really build through the draft, trading away all of those picks for Watson. So I don't know. I do think the Ravens will eventually take it over for the division, though.
Just to throw a wrench in there, if let's say by week 11 the Browns are sitting at 8-3 or maybe 9-2, do you bench Brissett and Watson's back?
See, if just based off the player, probably no. But the amount of draft capital traded and how much money you put into Watson, I think you don't really have a choice. I know that might be dumb, but I feel like you don't have a choice.
That would be a horrible argument if you start to lose, though.
That is also fair. Listen, if I'm the GM or coach or whatever of the Browns and Brissett wins some games, wins that many games and they look that good of a team, I'm not benching him. I don't care. I will trade Watson to one of the other teams that won him. I don't think he has a no trade clause to my knowledge. So yeah, I would definitely trade him, and Brissett could be your answer. They won games with Baker, who I know you're not high on. They have a strong running game. They don't really need a quarterback. You need a quarterback, but
kind of proves a point, doesn't it?
I'm still higher on Baker than you. I'm not turning my back on him just yet. Give him one more year and then we'll see. But to move on, there are some questions to go with the game. Starting off with the Steelers, it's with Mike Tomlin. Should he make the change or write it out with Trubisky?
No, don't make the change yet. I would give it at least until week 6. I understand that people are pretty impatient quite often. They see, like you said, people are already turning on Justin Fields before he even gets a chance. And I think Trubisky, like you say, he's not the greatest, right? He makes some key mistakes, but he also has played 3 games with this offense that he's not used to, hasn't played with. And the Steelers from the get-go has been a defense-centric team. And did he throw pick sixes in that game? I just want to make sure that I'm not.
Mitch has actually never thrown a pick six in his entire career.
Then if you're letting Jacoby Brissett let Browns offense put up 29 points on you, I don't think Mitch Trubisky is the only thing you need to look at. I think you got to look at the entire team. But I wouldn't bench Trubisky yet. Maybe it is a smart decision to bench him, but I would give him probably another 2 weeks to get him through that first quarter, get him through at least 4 or 5 games to see if he's showing any understanding of the plays and, the playbook, and see how he's improving at all. Is he getting comfortable? And if none of those are happening, then yeah, I get it. But I think 3 games in might be a little too soon to bench him. You got to give the guy a chance.
Yeah, my thing, a lot of the Steelers fans who want the change to Kenny Pickett, which teams, if you draft a quarterback early, they always demand for them to start as soon as possible. My thing, Kenny Pickett, yes, he was the most pro-ready quarterback in this draft, and I think he's 23 23 or 24, I'm pretty sure. But given he is the most pro-ready quarterback, you would think it would make sense to start him as soon as possible. But he's the most pro-ready quarterback in a very, very raw, bad draft class when it comes to quarterback. So I don't think just because he was the most pro-ready out of nobody who was pro-ready, that means he should start. I think if in practice he shows that he has the skills to be a great franchise quarterback and he shows you that he can go in there and win games, that's when you start to think about it. But from my point of view right now, I don't think you should just make a change to make a change. You're 3 weeks into the season. I mean, you have you're 1-2, which obviously isn't great, but it's too early to be like, okay, well, all of our plans for the season, let's throw it out the window and try something different. I
Yeah,
think that they should stick with Mitch.
and way more often than not, putting a brand new quarterback who just got drafted, thrown to the wolves their very first year, hasn't necessarily ended well. Now, maybe the following year, or the year after, they start to pick up, they start to understand everything, and they start to, the game slows down for them a bit. But typically, again, very much more often than not, you're highly drafted. Oh, hey, this is a new kid that's gonna be great for us, and we're just gonna throw him to the wolves. When he's been in our program when he's been in the National Football League for just a couple of months, does not end well. So I don't necessarily see the Steelers improving so much by just making this drastic change already.
Yeah, which is fair. I guess we both agree on that one. I guess this is kind of coincides with the other one. Do you think Mitch has done enough to keep his spot?
I'm going to contradict myself here, but no. Listen, it goes both ways. The Steelers should show some empathy towards Mitch Trubisky because he's new and he's getting used to it. But at the same time, Mitch, come on, man, you've been in this league a minute. You played with arguably one of the worst coaches in this league ever, and now you have better help. So do better.
Yeah, I'm just going to flat out agree with you. I'm also contradicting myself. I think he hasn't yet earned enough or done enough to earn his spot or keep his spot. But it's weird because it sounds like that you can't have both of those opinions, but we both do.
Well, because the first question isn't necessarily if Mitch earned it; it's if the Steelers should already pull the trigger, and I don't think Kenny Pickett's earned it either.
I think there's very, very few situations where you just switch out quarterbacks that early into the season when your plan was to keep them starting. Very rare. Like even like the rookies. I mean, well, Trey Lance wasn't pulled from play. It was because of injury. Okay. I'm talking about like where you're like this quarterback's bad. Let's switch everything up. But moving on, we do have some questions for the Browns. We kind of touched on this earlier, so I don't think we have that much to talk about. Is Jacoby Brissett proving to be a serviceable quarterback? I think this offense fits him very well where you don't have to be, I don't want to say don't have to be a good quarterback, but it's very quarterback friendly. They have solid weapons. The offensive line is great. And then they have probably the best running back duo in the league. And even just Nick Chubb alone is, in my opinion, probably like the number 1 running back in the league, which is definitely beneficial for a quarterback.
Yeah, I think Jacoby Brissett's proven to be a serviceable QB for the Browns. And I think you said it pretty accurately. Browns have a way of making their quarterbacks in recent years look a lot better than they are, like the previous one they had. So I think I like Jacoby Brissett. He used to play with the Patriots, and he's actually helped win, I think, 2 or 3 games it's actually more like 1 game for the Patriots. I'm sure, sitting behind Brady, I'm sure he's learned some things. He's a smart guy. I like the way he plays often, but I don't think he's going to be he's not a quarterback you want for your franchise. Again, it works for the Browns. I think the Browns make it work rather than him being such a great serviceable quarterback.
I've said my opinion on Brissett. I think I've said it literally anytime we talk about the Browns or any team he's been on, like last year with the Dolphins. I think he's a good backup quarterback, but I don't think he'll ever amount to anything more than that.
Although we're not benching him if he's winning games, right?
Okay, that was a complete hypothetical that he somehow manages to win that many games. I don't see that happening, but if that happens, I'll change my opinion and say Jacoby Brissett can be that guy at quarterback.
That's fair.
That being said, are the Browns one good quarterback away from being contenders? I
Oof.
don't I don't know. I think the Browns, like we just kind of said how good the supporting cast for the quarterback is. I think that defense still has some question marks. They have really good like on paper names, but that doesn't ever seem to do well for them. It's been like that for years. Like every time in the draft, they get the big names who fall to like the second and third round and stuff, and it doesn't ever seem to anything to amount from that. And I'm thinking hypothetically, I'm putting Deshaun Watson as the good quarterback, making them contenders. So I will kind of change up Jose's question, I guess. And do you think Deshaun Watson makes them contenders?
Man, I'm gonna say no. So listen, so I'm gonna say no, even if you ask me if the Browns are a good QB away from being contenders, because they're in the AFC, and I'm looking at other contenders in the AFC, and I don't think the Browns are quite at that level. So therefore, no. Now you throw Deshaun Watson in there, and you want to say he's the good quarterback. That makes it worse for me. And again, nothing personal against Deshaun here, right? I'm sure I have my own personal opinions about Deshaun Watson, but Deshaun Watson as a quarterback, I I watched a lot of Texans games before, and I've seen him play really good, really, really good football for the Texans before. But I've also seen him in the playoffs. He hasn't proven himself in the playoffs. And therefore, same thing. Contenders to what? Make the playoffs? Sure, absolutely. Contenders to get to the AFC Championship game? Maybe. I don't know. Contenders to get to the Super Bowl? No, they're not. The Bills are better. The Ravens, in my opinion, even if Browns get Deshaun Watson, is better. The Kansas City Chiefs are better. Looks like the freaking Dolphins can beat anybody right now. I don't know how. I don't think that's going to last super long, but we'll see. But I think the AFC has too many contenders for the Browns to also be in that category.
That's very fair. I'm also going to say no. Not even if it was Watson. I think if you put a good quarterback, like you said, there are so many like good teams, especially in the AFC. And I feel like this league has, I mean, it's kind of been like that for a few years, but it's kind of changed to the point where you basically have to have a very, very good quarterback to compete in the playoffs. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. I think he's right up there at that elite level, and he hasn't even seemed to be able to compete in the playoffs. So having that elite quarterback is a big deal. And you mentioned the Dolphins. I don't think Tua is better than Deshaun Watson until he has a few more, great games. I think it would take time. But Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback, and the Chiefs are a better team. Josh Allen is a better quarterback, and the Bills are a better team. If they're healthy, I know some of the players who are hurt are coming back. But the Chargers, Justin Herbert is a better quarterback, and the Chargers are a better team. Then the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback. The Ravens are a better team. I think there's too many good AFC teams. I think that if it's a contender for the playoffs, I think the Browns are a contender for the Super Bowl. I think it's a hard no, in my opinion.
And again, Deshaun Watson, we've mentioned this multiple times before, but I just want to. I think people tend to forget this man has not played an actual NFL game. I think is it a year and a half now?
It was all of last year, and then it's going to be like half of
Well,
this season,
yeah.
or
So
over
by the
half. So it's probably
yeah,
going to be like,
so and assuming his suspension does not, nothing else happens with it, he comes back week 11. It's gonna be
a
30
long
some
time.
weeks, or 28 weeks before Deshaun Watson's played an NFL game. That's a long time.
I mean, that's just like of the season.
Yeah, 28 weeks. So I meant NFL weeks. I didn't
Yeah,
mean, yeah, he hasn't played, he wouldn't have played football in a year and a half.
which, yeah, I feel like that's definitely glossed over. When he comes back, he's going to, at the very least, come back super slow, which might
and,
hurt their playoff
and
chances.
not to say they won 4 games the year before.
Yeah, I watched him his last season when he played, and it was not pretty. Listen, the Bears were very bad that year, and they wiped the floor with them, and Mitch Trubisky dominated that team. Again, this isn't the Texans, but Deshaun Watson couldn't compete with Mitch Trubisky, which is bizarre to me. But yeah, I don't think that the Browns are that close. I think they have some very good pieces, but I feel like, I don't know, they're just not there in my opinion.
Fair.
So Oh, do you have something to say?
No.
Oh, sorry. So for our award winner prediction updates, which last week when me and Jose did this, we did our coach of the year where we kind of just hyped up Tom the whole time with his Doug Peterson pick, which is still outstanding to me. I think at the time I mentioned it was a really good pick, so I still agree, obviously. So when I was looking at these slides, this one is a lot less pretty. So we'll start off with Tom. It is Derrick Henry, which I think there's a stat there. Yeah. This is not counting week 3's stats, I believe. Yeah, it is not. It's just week 2 or week 1 and 2. Yeah, that's just based off stats alone. That's not great. And in the few games I've watched, he hasn't been a bad running back, but he hasn't been that elite level Derrick Henry that we're all used to.
Yeah, listen, I don't feel very. This is where I feel good about my pick. I feel worse about y'all's comeback player of the year picks.
Oh, I don't.
So
I think honestly, yeah, I guess honestly, yours is probably the best. I don't know. I think they're all just garbage, and I would say yours is the best because he's at least still playing the best.
I am still wondering though, like at this point, if we were to just stop right now, who would that actually be?
I think technically Lamar Jackson would probably be the best pick. Off the top of my head, I'd probably say like Lamar Jackson.
That's a very good pick. Yeah.
Should have went with that to begin with.
Yeah, I should. I didn't think. I never even I forgot that he
Jackson
missed.
Either.
I think over a month last year.
I know he missed some games, but I didn't think about it. We're not. It's fine. My pick, which I don't want to talk about, Mr. Baker Mayfield. He didn't play bad last week. It's the same. It's kind of the same. I think Derrick Henry, his best week was week 3, which the stats aren't on here for that either. So, there is some credit due that, it's not completely up to date. But yeah, no, neither of these are very good picks.
Sam Darnold at this point last year was undefeated with the Panthers.
Listen, they also played like 3 terrible teams. They played, I think, the Texans. I want to say they played the Texans.
You lost to your former team.
Texans.
People gave Russell Wilson crap for losing to the Seahawks.
Russell Wilson's also viewed as an elite quarterback, and they were playing the Seahawks. The Browns are viewed as a playoff team. So, listen, I'll admit, I at least up to now very wrong. Baker Mayfield
to talk crap.
Needs to turn around. I know he needs to turn it around. And Jose's pick, which at the time I was hyping up his pick, but yeah, Juju hasn't really done anything. There's not really much to say. I mean, week 1, he had 2 fumbles?
He had 2 fumbles, but I also want to point out, I'm kind of proud of this. I kind of told Jose that they're going to throw the ball to multiple people too often for Juju to be centered enough for us to say he's going to be the comeback player of the year.
I mean, that's very fair. Other than Travis Kelce, he does spread the ball around very, very well. And then some headlines for you. We have Tua Tagovailoa with another game for the ages. Jose did put together the slides. I don't know if I would go that far. He had a good game, but it wasn't anything special in my opinion. So here's his stat lines from the first 3 weeks of the season. The one at the top was the one versus Buffalo. He had 1 touchdown, which I know stats don't. I'm not a very big stats guy. I'm more of a on film guy. And he definitely played better than the stats show, but I still wouldn't say game of the ages. I think his week 2 game was definitely more so what would be deserving of game for the ages. But it wasn't a bad game by any means. I don't know why his QBR isn't on there, which QBR I feel like is not a super important stat anyways. But
it's not.
It wasn't a very high scoring game and either. But I mean, I don't know how much more to talk about this. I kind of ranted about Tua last week.
Well, listen, I just say that. So first of all, I'm not trying to take anything away from Miami, what they've done so far in the season, or Tua. The fact that Tua threw 6 touchdowns in that game he threw the ball 50 times, like literally. I don't remember the last time a QB did that in a game. 69 yards? Yeah, dude, it was great, right? But they had no business coming back that much in that game. Baltimore should have won that game. Let's just face reality here. It's true. Buffalo last week, not just because I picked Buffalo to win. I think when they meet again, I think Buffalo's going to win. I think Buffalo, just like Kansas City against the Colts, kind of shot themselves in the foot a little and lost the game. Tua, I'll give him the credit. 6 touchdown game. Great job. Great comeback. Great win. When, you were pushed against the wall, you were able to come through and you helped your team win. I will give you that credit. Aside from that, looking at those 2 other games, they're not very impressive. I mean, week 1, sure, doesn't look bad.
Week
2,
1, I think, was
pretty solid.
I would say pretty bad. It was against the Patriots, and Bill Belichick always does well against quarterbacks. But his week 2 was great, and his week 3 was kind of just like average, I guess.
I mean, throwing in today's game, throwing 186 yards and a touchdown, I don't think it's considered that great. Now, I'll give him this. His completion percentage is off the charts, but
I think that's more credit to like Mike McDaniel, the head coach, for making the wide receivers open than to we have Jose joining us.
So you can't just come in uninvited like this.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to I didn't want to jump right in. I was gonna message first. I just got back from getting my car. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't want to I got my okay. How are y'all today? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt. I hope I didn't
doing pretty good. Pretty good. I've been the one in charge of this episode, so it's been a little awkward compared to most of the time. But
I've been a viewer, so I've been a viewer the whole ride home and loving what I'm seeing. It's great to see all the slides working out pretty good. Don't let me stop you. Go ahead. Whoever was talking, I can wait and jump in.
Yeah, we were both just kind of talking about how I don't know why you have this picture up here.
I was going to point out, he threw 50 passes in week 2. Justin Fields in 3 weeks this year has only thrown it's not a very big number. I don't know. It's like half of that basically. Like he has not thrown a lot of passes. I want to say it's like in the 20s or something.
It's okay. Nothing beats Mac Jones' 3 pass attempts in the game against Buffalo last year. So
hey, that's what's up. And I did hear what you were saying though. I know the slide does says another game for the ages, and I totally agree with you as far as stat wise. And I don't think he did all of it himself. However, taking down the mighty Bills, okay, team that I think is really, obviously not just my opinion, but they're favored to go all the way, if not to the Super Bowl. I think accomplishing that task and whatever happened, beating whatever happened to him in the first half, coming back and still finishing that game strong. I think that's what the main aspect I was talking about as far as game for the ages. But yeah, stat wise, I don't think it was him all the way. The stats show it all, but as a team too, I think he led them to what ended up being, just crazy turn of events, Twilight Zone type material right there.
It's not going to last very long.
I don't know.
Enjoy it while you can.
The Dolphins look super solid. I feel like there's always those.
Are they contenders?
Teams that win games. I think the Dolphins are contenders.
Wow.
I think they are. I don't know. It's not even just Tua like that. Mike McDaniel looks like a great coach. They have all of the weapons you would ever need for a quarterback to look good, and that defense is not a slouch either.
I'm gonna call 12-5 right now and eliminated in the divisional round.
Okay,
you heard it here first.
Just throwing out takes right there. I don't know. I think they're. I mean, just because you lose in the playoffs doesn't mean you're not a contender.
I guess
it's if you compete in the playoffs and you look like a good team, I consider you
fair enough.
That counts because not every team can make it a Super Bowl and it doesn't make you not a contender. But yeah
maybe this time they won't have the butt punt. Is that
what
we're
the butt punt? Yeah,
butt punt.
Which actually benefited them in a sense, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it did. Well, I personally thought they should have just taken a safety to begin with. It made the most sense.
Well, yeah, because if they got the punt off, the Bills wouldn't have to drive as far, and they could have got a touchdown. The safety they had to drive the entire length of the field. But
can I jump in now that Jose's here? I just wanna say something real quick.
Yes.
There's no such question as a stupid question. I don't know if you remember our first episode. I asked a question. Jose, what happens to our survivor pool if all of us are out? Or if there's only one person left by week 3? And both of you said, there's no way that's happening.
Hey,
Listen,
you know what? I took a long shot. I should have just picked the the Browns on that first game. But yes, no stupid questions. Never, never ever again.
Just to put you
Yeah.
on the spot there. So
I doubted Cooper Rush, who is apparently the greatest quarterback ever. So that was on me too.
Can I just add
Uh,
two things real quick before we move on to the next one? Yes, the butt fumble. I think Mark Sanchez is really happy to see that come to fruition, and also
not the same.
Dan Orlovsky has got to be excited too that he's
Nowhere
not the
near
only
the
one to
same.
walk out of his own end zone. So
No.
I think it's just before we move on, just point to point.
No,
are you
listen.
saying the fumble or the safety is not the same?
He was saying for both of them.
Well, I
No,
know.
No,
but
I
you're
was saying it's
it's
not the same for either. I think the
okay.
punt and you running into someone's butt that's literally right in front of you, and someone trying to punt a football and hitting somebody else is not the same. Because listen, teams have hit their own players in the back with the punt before. This one just unfortunately happened to be in the end zone, right? You running into someone's ass. It's not. It's not the same thing.
You know what? I'll give you that one. That's very fair. Very well put.
Listen, Jimmy Garoppolo's safety, I get it. You should know where the freaking end zone ends. That was just, but it wasn't even like it was his heel was touching out of bounds, and that's what called for the safety. I give him more blame for the pick six he threw directly like in that game that they got lucky called back because of a safety, but he ran across
just
Yeah.
kept
the
going.
freaking end
Just
zone.
kept-
No,
Yes,
listen,
that's
kept
not the
going.
same thing. You just look ahead of you, and like you just look literally straight ahead. You can tell, hey, I'm way past the end zone. I don't even know what I'm running into right now.
yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, like again, you should know where you're stepping, but man, that was you're talking like 3 inches.
Yeah,
out of
no,
bounds. It's not the same
Garoppolo's
thing.
was like he was backing up, trying to avoid the pressure, and like you said, he didn't even like jump back. Like he was trying to tippy toe. He knew he was at like the very back. He just
Right.
barely crossed over it. And then Dan Orlovsky, ran the entire side of the
Not the
end zone
same.
or whatever. Also, I'm going to throw shade at Dan Orlovsky. He is a trash commentator and a trash analyst, and his opinions are garbage.
I don't know if you
Wow.
see me clapping.
I
but,
despise that man. But yes,
Say how you really feel.
my least favorite person.
All right, on to the next. Yes.
Where were we,
I'm
Jared?
doing the
You got
slides.
it,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm used to, when Jose is here, he usually does it, and so I
Sorry,
was
man,
like,
I didn't want to
chilling.
impose over there.
Okay, another big headline, I guess. Matty Ice gets his first win as a Colt over the one of the favorites in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. And here are the stats from the game, which again, that's a lot of stats. I credit to you, Jose, for putting that together because that is a lot of stats.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's just a little bit of copy and paste, really. So, I thought the key one right there. Obviously, we always look at third down efficiency and how much better. Double the better the Colts were in producing. I think those were like really crucial situations right there. Not to because everything else. It seems pretty even for the most part. 27-37 for passing. There's not a lot that really separates them. Even penalties, I think, is all the same. But I don't know how the Colts were able to pull that one off. I tuned in, and all of a sudden the Colts are winning against the Chiefs. Thought that was a pretty exemplary way to go, especially after how they started their season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Colts were definitely like one of the bigger disappointments going into the year because I think all of us had them in the playoffs and winning the division. Week 1, they are always bad in week 1. They were 0-8 going into that game, and they got a tie against the Texans. Then week 2, they get shut out by the Jaguars. Not a very pretty game. So you're very low on them. Everyone is. And then they come out and beat the Chiefs somehow.
I somehow was less confident with the Colts in this game when they won than week 1 against the Texans. Look, I don't think the Colts should have won this game. I will say this 10 times over. I think the Chiefs lost this game. I don't think the Colts won this game. First of all, the third down efficiency, 3 for 10 for the Chiefs versus 6 for 15. That looks terrible, but it also tells me the Chiefs went into third down quite like less than the Colts did. But aside from that one, fourth down efficiency, 1 for 3 is Colts. Yards is less. Total drives, they had one more drive. Yards per play, 3.8 versus 5.2 is a big difference. And the only thing they got going for them is the turnover battle. And then the interception at the end, of course, Mahomes throws a pick. That's how the game ended. Chiefs still had a chance to come back and tie this game. Like, I have a lot of faith in Matt Ryan. I have a lot of faith in the Colts. I think they'll build off of this win and the momentum, but I still don't consider this win a win for them. I still don't think they played the greatest football ever. I think the Chiefs just messed up.
I'm just glad they got that first win under his belt right there. I think he needed that right now after what they've gone through.
I don't know. The Colts, though, like, they're just Matt Ryan. I know you were higher on Tom, but like, that defense is just good. I mean, last year they were great all year up until the Week 18 game against the Jaguars. If that defense plays like how they should play, they will win a lot more games.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing. That's why I had them as contenders, and I'm not ready to fully write them off yet. But so far, I have not, even though they finally got a win, I have not been very impressed. Now, I have them winning again this coming week against the Titans, and I think if they play a solid game and they actually win it, they'll put some more confidence back on me for them. But until then, it was I don't know. I don't like it. I just didn't like the way they won.
Fair enough. I mean, well, it's nice to see somebody winning those for a change in AFC South, because right now it's not looking so good for the rest of us.
Jaguars are looking good.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's not the next slide, please, Jared. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about Jaguars.
The next slide is the standings.
Well, yeah, let's talk about this next slide.
Yeah, I meant the next slide. That's what I meant, obviously.
I mean, we kind of already talked about this. The Jaguars leading. I think that the Jaguars could end up winning the division. They definitely looked the best so far, but I think the Colts definitely still have a shot to jump back up above them in the rankings.
Agreed.
And then to our Thursday night thinkers, which
would you like me to break this one down?
If you want to, yes, that works.
I don't know if you added any more, but for this week, I wanted to just focus on the offense. Last week, we focused on the defense, right, with Myles Garrett and help me out, Cameron Hayward. So this week, we're going to focus. I just focused on the offense and the leader of the group. We have Dolphins versus Bengals coming up. So that's Tua versus Joe Burrow. Pretty simple. I just went ahead. What happens first? Now they have, So Tua's not in the top 250 right now. He needs 1,673 yards in the remainder of the season. So I think what are we at? 15 more games, right?
14 more.
14 more games, including this one right here. So I was going to do the more broke down stats and everything, but I did not. But I did the same thing for Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's a little higher on the stats, on the stat line right now. Same amount of yards, and he can surpass Vince Evans and move into 206th of all time. So I wonder, between the two of them, I don't remember exactly what the yardage is average. I don't think I have a next slide, unless you did, Jared. No?
I did not.
I didn't think so. Okay. So, I usually try to put little averages and everything, see what they're doing. I don't know what I know Tua's had big games and he's had low games, and Burrow just had one good game right now. You got to win. So, what do y'all think? I know Tom will go with you first, or Jared, whoever wants to go first.
I might sound a little biased here. Listen, I don't hate Miami. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're as great as their record shows. And I'm not a Tua hater. I like Tua, but I think we've all talked about how his ceiling isn't the highest. He had one really, really good game so far, and that was week 2. And I think we're overreacting just a tad. Now, I'm okay if he proves me wrong, and I'm okay if he continues to have those games and continue to win game. I'll be happy for the guy. I just don't think it's him. I think he'll still win games. I think he'll play okay, but that's kind of it. And from time to time, he'll have one of those 400-yard games and 5 or whatever touchdowns, and he'll look great. But that's it. I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback. I think Joe Burrow's starting to get a hang of things this season. I know it did not look very good at all the first 2 weeks. And I think he's going to continue to step up and play. I don't necessarily think they're going to make it too far in the playoffs, but I think the Bengals are going to rely on Burrow more than the Dolphins are going to rely on Tua, and I think Burrow's going to get that 1673 yards first.
Okay, I will say I do think Joe Burrow is the better quarterback without a doubt. Unless Tua keeps having huge games and showing that arm talent, I think Burrow is undoubtedly the better quarterback here.
According to Tyreek, he's better than Mahomes, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I said Burrow's better. I didn't say that Mahomes was better, but
no, that's what I'm saying. According to Tyreek Hill, Tua is better than Mahomes, so I don't know why.
No, I'm agreeing.
Tua
is better than Mahomes, but not better than Burrow. That's what it is. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah. Okay, I was say
you got me there for a second. I was like, what in the?
Whoa!
But listen, Burrow is the better quarterback, and I think their weapons are honestly pretty close. But I think that Mike McDaniels is way better of a coach than Zach Taylor is, like undoubtedly that much better of a coach, and he has schemed these receivers open and made Tua look better, and I think Tua will have the better stats because of it, and I think Tua is going to get to the mark faster. That is just, I don't know. Tua has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I know that like Burrow has probably the best trio with Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, but I think just with the top two, Hill and Waddle, I think is better. I think Gesicki is a better tight end than Hayden Hurst in Cincinnati. And they don't have as strong of a run game to rely on because they don't have a Joe Mixon. So I think they're going to pass the ball more. Therefore, I'm going with Tua.
Man, and I can't be the odd man out, thankfully. Thank you for that. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with Tom. And also, they're going to start a new week right now. Last week they had their first win. I think the Bengals are ready to light it up with Joe Burrow. They even had the white helmets premiering today, right? Those brand new helmets. So it's like a rebirth, like just a coming out party right there. So it's going to be great. I think as far as this, I think it's they're reachable too. I did the averages. I don't have them on there, but yeah, trust me, I think they're very reachable by the end of the season. So
they're both going to hit the 1,600 yard like that. They're going to rack up another 1,600 yards before the end of the season.
Yeah, it's just what happens first.
Yeah, Burrow.
Or you could say Tua. I think that's very, very good answer.
I think the loser owes the winner a jersey here. I think you and I are making a pretty.
There's 2 and 1. So are you both going to buy me a jersey, or I have to buy both of you a jersey? Because I feel
we'll split it down the line. We'll cut it in half and just wear half of it.
Okay, fair. Yeah. I also want to point out though that I've been high on Tua since he was drafted, and I've called this, and I love the praise he's getting because I have said this from the beginning. And that's one of the reasons I want him to succeed, is so I can prove that I was right.
You've also said in this pod before that you were so high on Tua, and you might be wrong on it.
That doesn't mean I changed my response. I was high on Tua when he got drafted, and he looks good.
You remember when Jared said that Tua was going to throw 6 touchdowns on week 2 on 22-22 season?
Exactly. I don't think we were recording at the time, but yes, off camera, man. He did mention to me. He's like, Tua's going to have the greatest comeback in like the last 30 years in the NFL history, and he's going to put up those numbers.
I heard it. I remember hearing it.
I am a poor college student, and I have a Tua jersey. I think that goes to show how much confidence I had in Tua. So whatever you say doesn't like surpass that. I'm just
maybe you're a poor college student because you just have random NFL jerseys.
I don't have random ones. I have Bears jerseys and then Tua.
All right, we're in that fourth quarter. Let's see if we can get onto those next ones. What do you say? Weekly picks recap. I love this part of the show.
I don't like this part of the show.
Yeah. A lot of stuff happened. I think I'm just happy to come out unscathed and 8-8. So I think I did pretty good.
Which brings his season total up to 25, 22, and 1.
You have a winning season so far?
Gosh. Yes, sir. Sir.
Listen, we can just skip. We can end it here. We don't need to do anything else.
I think there's more slides.
Luckily, next up, Tom, who went 6-10, which is probably the worst in all of the history of the picks since dating back to last season. It was a bad week for Tom there.
I bet against Tua. This is what happens.
Yeah, don't bet against Tua. I bet against Tua.
Should not have bet against a butt punt team.
My gut told me Dolphins and Tua, and I didn't listen. So, it's on me. Which brings his season total to 22, 25, and 1. Which saves the best for last. Obviously, I'm going to be in first place with my 7-9 record from last week. 23, 24, and 1. I am better than Tom.
I have the worst record so far.
Stop the count. Stop the count now. Let's end the season. I'm not in last place.
Jared, I hope you remember this because I guarantee you I'll catch up.
How the mighty have fallen. That's why I have to talk my crap now before you do catch up.
You know what? You know what's going to be the reason I'm going to barely edge you out towards the end of the season?
Because
you're going to keep picking Tua to win the games.
I've picked Tua once. The Tua is bringing me down because I'm not picking him. I picked the Ravens over him and the Bills over him, and he was like, "Hell no, I'm winning anyways." So don't bet against don't bet against Brady. More like don't bet against Tua.
Oh God. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Says the guy who thinks
Chris
Olave is the greatest.
Did you see Chris Olave last week? Chris Olave popped off, which you guys haven't seen the thumbnails yet, but I'm just gonna throw this out there that Tom, this is gonna be your favorite week of thumbnails for the picks episode. You'll see later, but you'll like it.
Yeah. All right, who wants to? I don't know if you've probably seen this, Jared. Who's got the lead in Dolphins versus Bengals history? They haven't played. They're not in the same division. They don't play that often. But who do you think has the lead in this?
Dolphins.
I did see it. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was the Dolphins.
All right.
And
the answer is 18-7 Dolphins.
Yeah. The Bengals were trash. I don't even remember a single game between these two teams, but I can just tell you that the Dolphins probably has a better record.
It's just like in your picks, though, Tom. So, you have to start off low so you can have that comeback story. That's what the Bengals are doing right now. That's what they're going to do tonight, maybe. I don't know.
Now Mintu is throwing 6 touchdowns.
In a weird sense, I think I do remember one of the times they've played on like a Monday Night Football when the Dolphins still had like Jarvis Landry and Kenyon Drake and stuff. I feel like that was a thing. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was a thing. Don't ask. We don't need to get into it, but it happened. It's a thing.
And then on to our.
I guess it's the same slide, but
my bad. Thursday night picks, huh? So this is where the rubber meets the road, so to say. So they say.
Something like that.
Starting off with Tom's pick. What do you got, Tom?
So, man, I don't know who I picked. I'm kidding. I do know who I picked. I just don't want to say who I picked after all the trash I talked about the Dolphins because I actually picked the Dolphins to win tonight.
You picked the Bengals. Pick the Bengals.
No. I want to make this. I want to clear this up, okay? I was saying that that Joe Burrow is better than Tua. Does not mean the entire Bengals team currently is better than the Dolphins. So, Dolphins win streak isn't going away tonight. I think the Dolphins will win again. I think the Dolphins defense is good enough to get pressure on Joe Burrow like every other team in the NFL has been doing so far. And I think Tua's going to have an okay game. He'll manage the game good enough to win. Don't get excited. I think Burrow still will have more passing yards. And I think their win streak is coming to an end soon. But
what I got from that is that Tua's I'm gonna have another slide next week for another game for the ages for Tua. Another game. That's what I got from that.
I'm sure his 113 yards and is another butt punch is gonna. I'm never letting that go.
I don't know. He has Tyreek Hill matched up against Eli Apple. I think he might have a little bit more than 113 yards. But Tom kind of nailed it. This Bengals offensive line, they spent so much money on it in the offseason, and it is probably worse than last year.
Yeah.
Because last year he got sacked, I think it was like 53 times. And I know it's early, so like the averages are all screwed up, but he's on pace to get sacked like 88 times. This offensive line is garbage, which I don't think is necessarily just a talent thing. I think, like I said, Zach Taylor, I know he's coming off a Super Bowl appearance. I don't think he's a good coach. I don't think he was a good coach last year. I think it was pure luck they made it that far. And it's a scheme thing. If you have a good enough offensive scheme, you scheme your offense to hide the weaknesses. He doesn't do that. He just okay, my offensive line's garbage. You just watch it be garbage, and that's about it. I think the Dolphins are the better team. In this game, maybe Burrow does have more passing yards because they're going to be coming from behind. The Bengals aren't a bad team. The Dolphins are just on a hot streak, and they look like a much better team. Tom, you seem like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to contradict myself here a bit real quick, but I do have to say I partially also blame Joe Burrow for the offensive line failure sometimes because it's also his job as a quarterback to read defenses and kind of control his offensive line in the sense of where to block, where to go, and what to do. And maybe there's a lack of communication there. Maybe I don't even think Burrow, when he calls out, pressure's coming, he doesn't even realize where it's coming from. His offensive lineman is kind of following what he's asking for. Again, it might be a trash O-line, but it also doesn't help if you don't know who to block, or it doesn't help if your quarterback is asking for you to go the wrong direction. So
yeah, which there's been a few in the film and stuff. There's a lot of times where Burrow just doesn't move around in the pocket well and steps up into the defense, which has also led to a few sacks. But yeah, I kind of told you I'm going for I'm picking the Dolphins to win. I am picking Tua finally, for the first time since week 1. Again, the Bengals aren't a bad team. They're not as great as people would expect going into the season coming off a Super Bowl appearance, but they're not bad. The Dolphins are just better at this point in time.
I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was 2018, by week 5, there was only one undefeated team. Anyone care to venture a guess on who that team was?
I'm going to assume, since it's the Patriots.
No, it was not. The Patriots never have good starts.
2000, what was the year?
17, 18, something around there.
Okay, so it's not.
The Dolphins are just reminding me of them, bro. That's why.
I mean, I don't know. I know last year the Panthers were 3-0.
Tennessee Titans. Final answer.
Jose, care to venture a guess?
I don't know. Let's say Chiefs.
It was the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, wow.
They've been 5-0, and they ended the season 9-7. Maybe it was 10-6. My point is, don't get too excited about this.
That's also fair. I will say. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna lead up to my pick, but go ahead.
Mine was kind of off topic. I was just going to point out my pick for my guess that the Titans was probably a bad answer because I think that was the year that they were very, very bad and had a top 5 pick and got Corey Davis. So yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I'm gonna do an episode of Shark Tank right now. Everything that Tom said has said I'm not very excited about the Dolphins, and for that reason, I'm out, and I'm gonna pick the Bengals. Ooh. That's right. I think they're on
some bizarre picks. You know that?
The upside, yes, sir. I like the. It worked last week.
But you're leading, so yeah, I can't complain.
Barely.
How someone who picks both New York teams to win in the same week has the lead on us, I don't know.
Both New York teams? Wait, what did I pick? Oh, yeah. I picked some underdogs, too, by the way. I have to make some big moves. Thank you for noticing.
I started picking from my gut, which Tom realized when we recorded the picks episode. But no, yours were even more bizarre than mine were.
Most of them were the favorites, obviously, and some of them were underdogs. And I just figured, take just a little sprinkle here and there. But maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Doesn't really matter. After last week, anything can happen, apparently. So the Miami Dolphins can beat the Bills. Who else? What other? The Colts can beat the Chiefs. Anything can happen. Only in America. So here we go. So
that's the NFL, man. Gotta love it. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. I think that. Oh, here's a. Now we have a few minutes. Y'all want to I know we're filming live, so I think we can go a little bit over. What do you guys think? Should we
We
keep
got
on
a few
going?
minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. You go ahead, Jared. You got this slide.
Well, this is Tom's picks, so I assumed he wanted to talk about it first. I have one for each of us. So if Tom, you want to go ahead.
Oof, man. Okay. Listen, some of this, it's too early in the season for me to say I feel really good or really bad about this. Here's what I feel kind of bad about so far. Unless Broncos tighten up, I feel really bad about my number 7 seed. Titans are not going to be the number 6 seed. Raiders, number 5. Yeah, probably number 5 worst team in the NFL right now. Ravens are, I think, solid. Colts won't be the number 3, but I think they could potentially still be the number 4 seed because I think they can still very much win that division, as great as Jacksonville Jaguars are doing. Chiefs, Bills, guys, listen, they both lost this last week. They're both great. Either of these can be flip-flopped at any point, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with my pick there. So as far as the AFC goes, half of my picks I feel pretty okay about. The other half, I don't feel so great about it. The NFC, I think Packers are still going to end up being the number 1 seed. Yes, I do believe that. Look, week 1 last year, they played like absolute garbage. They won week 2. They won week 3. They ended up losing 3 games all season. Look, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers during regular season. They're going to be the number 1 seed. They are. Rams have, listen, they're not nowhere near the same team as they are last year. They do have some weaknesses. I can still see them being the number 2 seed because of the lack of skill set when it comes to the rest of the NFC. I take that back. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on the Rams this year. Maybe that's me being crazy. I'm sorry. I tried to talk myself into it while I was just saying it just to make my picks look good, but no, that's not gonna happen. Bucks, like I said, listen, they're gonna crawl their way into winning the division, and therefore they're gonna be the number 4 seed. Once they get into the playoffs, however, it's going to be a different story. I felt, as much as they lost last week, I feel really, really good about the Buccaneers team. Cowboys, Cooper Rush is still hustling, so I can still see them ending as the number 3. I think Dak Prescott should take his time. They're going to lose a couple of games. It is okay. NFC's not that competitive. Vikings look really good. I feel good about them being the number 5 seed. 49ers, Jimmy G, know where your lines are. Don't throw to the other team. We'll see what happens. But number 6 seed I can see happening. Cardinals, yeah, why not? Who's winning right now? Let's see. Let's look at the NFC. Oh, you know what? Yeah, the Eagles. Doesn't look very good, does it? Well, for me, Eagles look good, but it doesn't look good for me in my NFC picks. I did not have the Eagles in the playoffs. And Bears, come on. Really? This is why we should make this list so early. The Bears are not going to be the number 7 seed. They're just not.
Well, things considered, though, I mean, like for both of your picks versus playoffs, you got 4 out of the 7. You know, if you just avoid the seeding, 4 out of 7.
Yeah,
that's not bad right there.
It'll change around. Listen, Jacksonville's not going to be the number 2 seed. As high as I am on them this year, they're not that high. There's no way Chiefs are going to end up being the number 3 seeds with Jacksonville being number 2. Dolphins is going to drop off. They're not going to end as the number 1 seed. Browns, man, they're scaring me just a little bit. Broncos being the number 5 seed, I don't think that will maintain. Ravens, Bills being the number 7 seed. That's how you know, again, we're doing this too early in the season, boys.
We're going to do it a few more times.
Somebody else had him at number 7 too. I don't know who had him at 7.
No. You don't get to
you don't get the credit, mostly because you had them winning the division but had them at the 7th seed, so it doesn't count.
No. You know what? I'm taking every credit that I possibly can get. You guys can't talk me out of it. I can't take my credit. It's mine.
Do you want to just go ahead to the next one?
Yes, please.
Because I fixed them for Jose because in the other one he messed them up. So you have the Bills in the 4th seed, by the way, not the 7th.
Oh, okay, my bad.
By technicalities, you don't get credit.
You know, that's better. I'm okay with it. Fair enough.
Honestly, his aren't that bad.
How am I doing? Yeah, I got Bucks, I got Eagles. That's Packers. That's 3. That's 49ers. Okay, forget that. Rams, and Cowboys. That's 5 if you count. 5 out of 7, is that right, in the NFC so far? That's pretty good. My count right, guys? Chiefs, then Ravens, Colts are not in there. Bills, Browns.
Dang, Jose.
Jose kind of
Yeah,
nailed
what
it.
the heck?
Is that 5 out of 7 on both of them? I think.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. That was
Again, too early in the season.
no big deal. I'll take
Yes,
the
it's
credit.
fair.
Let's go to yours, Jared.
I'm gonna point out. You see that number 7 seed right there in the NFC? Who
Yeah.
would have thunk it? Right on the dot.
Whoa.
I will take my credit for that because I'm telling you that listen. Bears fans have given up on the season. It could happen. It's possible. We have a super weak schedule, and the NFC is god awful. We could make it, but I think I did pretty good too. In the NFC, the only team I got switched was replace the Cowboys with the Saints. So I went 6 for 7 in the NFC. The AFC we don't need to talk about as much. I got 1, 2.
How many you got?
3. I got 3 in the AFC.
3.
I think.
So, like, if you total it all together, I got the most. Is that right? I'm just making.
So that's 9 of 14 that Jared's got.
Yes. How much do we? I can go back. And
Oh my God! I once again have the worst record.
Oh,
It's not important who has the worst record.
Actually, I don't know if I do. Go back to mine
okay.
real
So
quick.
I have 9. We're gonna.
Yeah,
Jose has 10.
10.
And you had 4,
Bills,
8.
Chiefs.
You have 8.
Wow.
It's not important, Tom. It's not
Too
important.
early.
It's the end of the
No,
season,
it
okay?
is important. It very
Too
much
early.
matters because Tom, the mighty, have fallen. He cannot predict games anymore to save his
Nope.
life.
It's just like Brady. I got to come back.
Stop the count.
I start
End it
slow
now.
and I come back.
The only thing that's important right now is who's in first, and I think that we can, have a good week knowing.
Jose, I think we can both agree all that matters is who's not in last place.
That's fair. I'll give 100% agree
Okay.
with you. That's a great way to look
Alright.
at things. Good outlook.
Ooh.
Good outlook for the season. Where are we at now?
This was just a game to me. Now I'm gonna win.
You got it, man. You got this.
You did this to yourself.
As
I feel
always,
like I said that to somebody 2 weeks ago.
we got the cool socials right here: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I got a QR code right there, so if anybody wants to take out their phone and on their computers, old school style, you can get that QR code sent you right to our Instagram page right there. Real nice and easy. You don't have to type anything. You just point and shoot right there with your camera. It works really good for anybody that's interested in those. And I have another slide too on the next one for our stats. That right there takes you to our Twitter handle right there. So just some cool technology I'm busting out right there for the codes. I just got one quick question for you guys. Jerry, the stats are updated on this one, or are we want to do this next week?
I did not update the stats. I'm not gonna lie.
Just kidding.
Listen. That's my bad. I did the playoff things. I thought the stats were already updated because I glanced at it, and a certain mistake that happened last week wasn't a mistake anymore. So I figured they were updated. That's my bad.
I'll take care of that. No worries. But we can always go into next week. I know we're a little over anyway, so I think it's kind of working out well for us because I'm ready for some football. I think it starts here pretty soon since we are shooting live for the show right here. It's really awesome. Dolphins versus Bills. Any closing thoughts from you guys?
I don't know. I feel like last week's Thursday night game was not a very enticing matchup to watch, and this one is definitely a lot better, so it's more entertaining of a game overall.
I think we need to start the survivor pool back up until I think we should do it until we're 2 people are eliminated and continue going, and at the end of the season we should tally up who won the most.
What we could do is do like our
I gotta win
pool
something,
locks,
man.
Locks of the week, and then just tally, like he said, how many you got, like your record on just your locks of the week, and then maybe Tom can be right about something.
Okay, yeah.
I can't wait for the season ahead.
We'll be 2 weeks behind because we didn't do it last week or this week, but next week.
Watch me
We'll
come
start
back next week and have like a 2-14 record on my picks. It's going to be and Tom's undefeated. That's going to be great. It's going to be great for him, but it can happen.
I did pick the Bucks to beat the Chiefs.
Same.
Oh, I saw.
Okay, so we had at least one thing in common. There you go. So.
Spoiling all of our picks. Gosh.
Oh no, that was you're right.
It's all right.
Spoiler alert. Okay, never mind. Well, cool guys. Yeah, it's fun. Getting ready for another week. Week 4. We're already kind of a quarter way through the season, so it's pretty exciting times. See you guys here. You guys are gonna be doing your pick show tomorrow, which we already spoiled one of the picks, but that's okay though because people can still tune in. Same time, same bad channel. Correct?
Yes.
All right, guys. We will see you later. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take care of the closing, Jared. So don't wait.
Okay. I'm not going to complain.
Until next time, guys. Take care.
Goodbye, guys.